Now, the city of Cape Town has elected Geordin Hill-Lewis as its mayor. The 34-year-old is the city's youngest ever mayor. His party, the Democratic Alliance, garnered 58.42% of the vote during recent municipal elections. Hill-Lewis says alleviating poverty over time is a key focus and has promised an inclusive city under his administration, who received 141 votes from the 224 councillors present in the 231-seat council. Felicity Purchase has been re-elected as council speaker, while former Springbok prop forward Eddie Andrews is the new deputy mayor. All right, so let's speak now to the Democratic Alliance's Geordin Hill-Lewis. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us, Mayor.
It's so nice to be with you. Thank you for the invitation.
So how does it feel at this age? I know not the youngest at this point, but certainly one of the youngest mayors in South Africa. How does it feel to be called that, and did you expect that?
With so many young mayors being sworn in around the country, I think I'm now one of the oldest, not one of the youngest. But no, it's a great feeling. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful moment for me personally and for my family. But I'm also very aware, conscious of the hard work that we have to do in the years ahead. So I'm keen to get cracking.
So let's talk about that hard work. You've said the journey should start with the recognition that more and more South Africans are feeling hopeless about the future. How will you achieve that, especially in the poor, underserviced areas?
Well, everything that we do has got to be focused on how we can grow the economy, invest in better infrastructure and better services so that people have dignified lives and dignified communities. And if we can do those two things and add to that safety, make people feel safer, then you can really give people a sense that there is something to be optimistic and hopeful about in South Africa. And so that's why we've said our goal in Cape Town is very much to make this the one place that every single South African can feel truly proud of, that they can look to Cape Town and say that is the place that gives us hope.
Okay.
Because we are building a more inclusive city, a more prosperous city that gets more people out of poverty over time and into work.
So we'll talk about the increase in allowance for basic services in just a moment, but I do want to delve into this. You've also said that more of the same won't cut it. It is time for fresh thinking. The DA has often spoken of its success stories in Cape Town, but the question is, what do you think you can change though? Because the lived experiences of Cape Townians are definitely not the same.
No, there's a great deal of work to do. Tomorrow morning, my first real day on the job, most of today was just about the swearing in. So my first real day on the job tomorrow, I'm going straight to Khayelitsha and to Phoenix to look at sewage problems and to talk with officials about what more can be done, and to talk with residents and community members to try and improve those problems and invest in better infrastructure, particularly in the poorest parts of our city. And what I said today in the speech, I really mean. Every single Cape Townian must have the same excellent standard of service delivery. That's the standard I set. That's the standard I set for myself. And it's the standard I set for our government. And I expect that every resident should hold us to that.
Geordin, I'm sure you believe that passionately, but you would also probably agree that your work is cut out for you. People are tired of hearing politicians make these, promises. You've spoken about releasing public land for housing. We know the homelessness levels, especially in the city of Cape Town, are quite high, and the homeless trying to find land to settle on, that's been a problem. Please take us through how you're going to do that, including taking over of the rail network. Tell us more about that.
Well, first on housing, look, I've said that the city owns quite a few pieces of relatively small pieces of land, but nevertheless important pieces of land, because they are well located, right in the city centre, right in Bellville, right, close to industrial areas and economic nodes. And we've got to do better in releasing that land for housing. There are so many bureaucratic hoops and, T's to be crossed and I's to be dotted that it takes years to release a single piece of land. And that's just not good enough given the pressure, the urgent pressure of the housing crisis that our country faces. If we are serious about unstitching the legacy of the Group Areas Act in all of our cities. So I've said we must, that land pipeline, that land release pipeline has got to be unblocked. The other point I made, as you will have heard in the campaign, is that all those pieces of land are, frankly, a pinprick in comparison to the huge pieces of military-owned land, public works-owned land used by the military in the city of Cape Town. These are 4 gigantic pieces of land that are not used for military purposes anymore, or hardly at all, really. And if we really want to make a game-changing difference, we've also got to release that. So
what about individuals who own vast tracts of land that are unused and could be better used for public housing?
Well, we often go to the market because there is such a shortage of well-located land. We often go to the market and offer to buy land from people. In fact, I'm one of my first difficult situations is going to talk about how to get the central rail line up and running again, and that's going to require us to move residents who have built informal shacks on the land, on the railway tracks, and that means we may have to buy a piece of land. So that's really underway. Let me just talk about the rail quickly. My first task is to just try and get the trains that we already have back on the track, back, running again, so that people can use them. At the moment, there are 1 million Cape Townians who rely on the train who can't use it at the moment. There is a wholesale shutdown of the rail system in Cape Town and other cities as well. So I really need to get those up and running in partnership with PRASA and with the provincial government. Of course, we've already had our first meeting immediately, and we're talking about where we can move those residents. In the long term, I did make this point to PRASA that we need to have a discussion around who manages the train system. I don't think that PRASA can fix it. I really don't. I think that we've got to involve private sector players on a concession basis, and that the state should play its proper role in regulating and licensing the train system, but allow companies who really know how to do this and do it very well to protect that system and run it properly so that our trains can run on time.
All right. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but hopefully we speak to you,
Thank you very much.
The next time about your 20% increase in the allocation for basic services of the next financial year. But very much appreciated for your time. Geordin Hill-Lewis is the Democratic Alliance's mayor that's just been inaugurated.